Here's Barbara.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for having me. So I want you to think, now, I'm sure actually that if I asked you all if you were empathetic or compassionate, I'm guessing pretty much everyone in the audience is going to be saying, yeah, I am. Now let me ask you, if you were a manager or on a team with somebody who was messing up, who didn't pull their own weight, would you necessarily default to empathy right out of the gate? I didn't. I'll tell you right now, as a manager, I was all about effectiveness and efficiency. And the humanness came later. I was in HR, so that was always a component, but rarely right out of the gate, especially if somebody wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing. So it occurred to me that it's my thoughts. It was really my thoughts that were keeping me from having empathy. So I kind of worked on that. And then I found out recently that leaders had started to come to me, managers, and asking me, is there a way to teach empathy and compassion in the workplace? Because it's leaving out the door very quickly these days. And I thought, yeah, there is. There is, and it starts with your thoughts. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. In 2021, Harvard Business Review created an empathy training. And that was focused as well with awareness of your thoughts. That's where it has to start. And oh my goodness, we have not evolved much as people, because Lao Tzu, who I'll bet many of you know, is an ancient Chinese philosopher. I mean, I think he's even BC. He came up with your thoughts create your words create your emotions create your actions create your character, and your character creates your destiny. And we haven't really changed much since then, because for us still today, it starts with your thoughts. So we're going to start with thoughts. And for me, to help me to remember what my thoughts are and to be aware of them, I've created 5 guiding principles for myself. And I want to share those with you today. So the first one is behavior is the best piece of information about a person. Now, I like this one because this reminds me to keep myself from balling up the person's humanity and what they're doing. Because as a manager, I often will think, that Joe, he's doing it on purpose to me. He's trying to sabotage the team. Why is he always coming in late? When the reality is it has nothing to do with me. But because I take the humanity and the action and I put it together, that's what I think automatically. And because as humans, we have a natural tendency to default to negativity, which I'm sure you all have experience with. I know I do. So this is the first guiding principle that I like. And for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to say that we're going to pretend like we have 2 employees. We've got Joe, who's chronically late to work, and we have Lorna, who often screws up the financials. So what's happening then is I get to pull apart the behavior of Joe, who's late, and the behavior of Lorna, who keeps messing up, from their actual humanity, because they're a person first, right? They're a person first who are behaving in a certain way. Every behavior has a positive intention. Now, it doesn't really make sense to me, because I'm like, well, how is it positive that somebody's late to work? Or how is it positive that they're screwing up all the time? Well, when I think that helps me keep myself back from the situation at hand, keep my own emotions from getting involved with what they're doing and why they're doing it and everything else, getting it all personal, and I can disengage. Because the reality is, even though I can't see it, Joe and Lorna continue to act this way. So they must be getting some positive benefit out of it, or they would change it. So this helps me just keep myself in a more positive place And again, keeping myself separated from what they're doing, from their humanity. And it's that space in between the two. That's where I can allow empathy to come in. It's like an opening because I've pulled them apart. Next, people work perfectly to get the results that they currently have. Again, it's unusual, certainly, but they're working perfectly because Joe is perfectly coming to work late on a regular basis, and Lorna is perfectly messing up on the financials regularly. So they are working perfectly to get those results. And in order for them to change, they're going to have to get a different action going on that's perfect for them. But in the meantime, if my thinking is they're working perfectly to get the results that they get, they're not going to be working here very long, but they're working perfectly. Next, each person has an internal map of reality. Did you know that? We all have an internal map of reality, and people respond to their map, not to yours. And they also don't respond to reality. I mean, is it a wonder that we can do anything in the world, right? But when we think about that, it makes me think of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Does anyone here know Dr. Joe? Yeah, he's one of my favorites. Now, he says that people have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of them are the same as the day before. That is how much of our life, all of us, is run on habit, is run on subconscious programs that we're not even aware of. That's our map of reality. And that's why everyone is really, really unique, because each one of us has a different experience. We all have different trauma. We have different memories. We have different distortions and deletions that we do, generalizations based on our family, based on our friends, based on all the inputs over all the years that we've lived. That's on our map. And that's a little bit different than yours, and definitely different than yours. And reality is something else entirely. So when we could remember that as a manager, that these employees, Lorna and Joe, they're going through their own map of reality. They're having this situation play out because of something inside of them. So again, that helps us to pull them apart even more and have an even bigger space. And here's where we actually start to feel some empathy, because I know that I have messed up in my life based on my habits and gone in wrong directions. And now suddenly I can see how we're a little bit the same. And that's where the empathy can plant a little seed and start to grow. Because the reality is, if Lorna and Joe can't get it together and can't figure it out and don't respond well to the help we're trying to give them, they're going to be out of a job. And now I start to feel a little bad for them. And that feels good. That actually feels good. Now, this is one that I just want to leave with you as a thought for this evening. There are no difficult people. There are just difficult relationships and inflexibility. Now, what if that was true? Is it true? If I applied it to the Joe and Lorna situation, I would say, as a manager, that Joe and Lorna were the ones who were difficult and inflexible, because they're the ones who are causing the problem. They're the ones who are late. They're the ones who keep doing the same thing over and over again and creating havoc in the work environment. But is it them? Or is it the manager who insists on making their actions be who they are as a human? Are they being inflexible by not pulling those two apart? I'm Barbara Jenks. I'm the owner of Bright Fulcrum, and we're a company that brings clarity to all of your conversations through the 3 pillars of communication: awareness, listening, and word choice. And we deliver that through one-on-one coaching and training. Thank you.